Yeah, no, I'm not going out there.
Yeah, let's talk about something else. So let's just jump into the movies I saw this year. So I'm ranking these movies just as I saw them throughout the year. I'm going to give them a number ranking, 1 out of 5. All right, let's go. So I saw Kraven. That was a 1. I didn't like it. I felt like Aaron Taylor Johnson was the best part and also the worst part. Like, he was cool when he was doing the fighting stuff. Yeah, not my cup of tea. The Damned, scary movie. No one really talked about it. Loved it to death. Want to watch it 20 more times. I just thought it was a beautiful film, and I feel like everyone took it seriously as much as possible. When you get a lot of horror movies, they can be very generic, and I felt this one really did its best to stand out, but of course hit the cliches that I guess need be for a scary movie to be scary, but it never felt like unnecessary. It gave me more of the Thing than it did give me, I don't know, like Wish or whatever the fuck that movie's called. 3. One of Them Days, 3, I think it's really funny. It made me laugh. It made me care about the characters, but I think it made me more one thing than the other. Like, I felt like I really would have cared for these characters, like something like a Friday where it's funny, but I really care about the two characters. They're funny and they're appealing and they're just interesting people. And maybe one-dimensional as the weed guy, one-dimensional as the tough guy. But then they were very similar, whereas they were both sort of one-dimensional, but it should have went further. I felt like there was a lot of growth in arcs, but they're both very similar. I felt like their arc was sort of the same. I don't know. It's still great. It's still really funny, and I think Keke Palmer is amazing. I think SZA is one of the standouts of the year for me. But they need to... I think they needed a better cleanup. I think better stakes. But overall, it was still great for me to really recommend it. 3 out of 5. Presents. I love the concept. I think everyone did their job. I think the camera did as much as possible with the crew did as much as they could do with the story that they had. But there was some hiccups for me where I felt like the cutting to the next day was really sloppy. I felt like some of the characters were way too expositionary. Like this, sometimes it felt really real and sometimes it felt eh. But that twist and why they hired Lucy Liu to be part of this, it made sense. Like I was like, why do they have this big actress? I think it would have been better if you just had someone who I didn't know and they can blend in with these sort of lower level named actors. But when you see the ending, you get, oh, that's why you have her. That's why you pay the big bucks for this legend, because she can do that last part where it haunts you. For Dogman, I want to even give this a higher rating because I just love animation so much, and especially the just hand-drawn style that we've been seeing coming back really well. But I don't know. I thought it was really good. It was really fun. And I think if I had a kid, I would show them this movie, and I feel like this is a really healthy movie to just really enjoy and respect. But it did miss a lot for me where I just thought like, okay, it went on a little bit long and the character's a little funny. And I think there was more like goofy moments than there needed to be. But also it's a kid's movie. And I know there's like a sort of debate of like kids movies can still be good and still be art. But I felt like it was really trying to be, fun time, Coco Melon, distraction, but then sometimes really funny story. So I really give it its credits, but 3. Companion, my... God, that's a good-ass movie. You hear that? That's how you know it's a good movie. I respect Jack Quaid. I think everyone killed it. But it did have a lot of, like, paint-by-numbers moments where I felt like I've seen this. We've done this before. I think Sophie Thatcher is such a damn good actress. Just, you gotta get... Like, there was moments where I felt like I was watching something so new, so fresh. And then moments where I was like, oh, I feel like this is just a typical scary movie. But then you had performances by her and just the rest of the cast where you're like, you just got to give credit where credit's due. Everyone just brought their A game, the cinematography, everything. Oh, god damn, this is a good movie. I can't give it a 5 though, because there were those moments where I felt like, okay, this seemed a little annoying, or okay, this was a little... Like, the movie tried its best to be unique and funny, and it did everything, and never did it really stumble, but it didn't also capture me enough for me to say, yeah, I gotta see this a million times. It was still so good, and I think everyone should see it. But there was a little bit of missing for me, where I felt like it's funny where it needs to be funny, it's serious, it's gory, it's a great horror film, and it's a film that should have gotten more credit at the box office. And I do give it all the credit for Hard Eyes. Yeah, I love that movie. I love that shit. It's not a perfect movie. I think Josh Rubin is someone who gets a lot of flack for his films. I haven't seen his first film, but I've seen Werewolves Within, and I'm like, this is a movie that deserves so much love and credit. Why? And I'm like, okay, pandemic. It came out at a horrible time. Didn't have a lot of the budget needed, I think, for marketing, but I thought, okay, this is the movie. Hard Eyes has to be. It's going to hit the points. It's going to get the crowd in. And I think it did pretty decent for my... But I do really respect everybody in the cast. I think everyone, again, brought their A game. Listen, and they did their role really well. Yeah, there was some dumb parts. I felt like the characters were in a movie. It never felt like I was out of it. I can see why Josh Rubin doesn't get a lot of love from, I say, the old heads. But he's still a great director. It's such a talented, creator. He's someone who deserves a lot of credit. And I think also, too, the man deserves a lot of respect for still trying to put out just a cheesy, fun horror movie. I'm gonna give it 3. Love Hurts. I did not like this movie. It was just, it just kind of dragged on, which sucks because I felt like they really cared about the fight choreography, but I feel like that's all they cared about. I didn't care for any of the characters. I thought some of them were so irrelevant. They showed up and had some really good moments, but those were far and few between. I just think I can see the vision, but it just wasn't there, and I don't want to give it a 1 because I think there was a lot of people who showed up and had to do what they had to do. The choreography, the actors, their dialogue wasn't the greatest. I think the pacing and editing was but you see people like Marshawn Lynch, who is really funny, and he's really trying, and he does well, and maybe the material isn't always there, but some of it's there, but it still just missed. It really tried its best. It took its shot, but it missed. And there's nothing wrong with that. 2, Captain America Brave New World. I didn't like it. It had a few good scenes that I really enjoyed. I really just love Anthony Mackie, and I just want him to do well. But I think the fight with Hulk had this weird reverse. Like, it was getting better as time went on because the first initial fight and how it even starts is just not... I didn't give a shit. The reveal in the trailer, I think, took it away from what could have been a cool twist, I guess. But even then, I'm like... I don't care. The story just started off, and then it didn't end well. It ended okay. I don't know. 2, A Monkey. I love Osgood Perkins. It's a great film. I think I want to put it even higher. I initially am saying 3. I think that might change to 4, but I truly enjoy it. I think it's a good film. I think it's fun. It didn't really go for it. It's funny because there's moments where, like, I was watching movies like Primate where I wish they went further and it could have been a better movie. And I think with The Monkey is very similar, where I think they should have gone a little bit further, maybe took themselves a little... It just felt so tongue-in-cheek. It also was hard to take care... It was hard to take the character that seriously. And then on top of that, I felt like the stakes weren't really there. Like, you should feel this looming death. But, I love the film and its premise behind it, too, because I found out that Osgood Perkins suffered tragedy with his parents passing away at a pretty young age. And I can see his writing in this movie. So, I don't know, I just really respect it. I'm going to give it a 3. Another movie I saw, Mickey 17. I loved it. It's amazing. So, when I think of Bong Joon-ho, I don't think there's ever going to be a miss from this guy. And even though Mickey 17, I don't think was as near as it should be to Parasite, it was still such a good time. It's hard to just not give this man his flowers. I loved it. It's up there. It's top. I just love Robert Pattinson. I think he just puts everything that he does with 100% love, care, respect. Love the guy. So yeah, I think other than maybe its political commentary might be a little bit outdated, not because I think Bong Joon-ho doesn't know what he's talking about, but it's hard to predict or to make stuff in this world where things are so rapidly crazy. Like, I looked at a lot of parallels of the Trump administration of him getting shot to where we are today, and it just seems like night and day differences of where we are. But then there's some stuff where it seems pretty similar, and I just love it. But I know it's also missing that sort of je ne sais quoi for me, where it's fully there. I'm going to give it a 4. Novacain. I love Jack Quinn. He is someone with a lot of serious talent, and he adds a lot to a film. He really adds to The Boys. He really added to Companion. I think he did amazing here. I feel like it was hitting a lot of the beats that it had to, but I think for the most part it was really good, and I loved it. So I enjoyed it. I would say Novacain is a 4. I don't think it's as good as Companion, but I think it's such a good time. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. Come on. The Day the Earth Blew Up. I gotta say, I'm a sucker for animation. I think it's a good, funny film. I haven't had a really good gut-busting laugh until that scene where the guy stands up in the theater. That was so... You gotta give this movie its flowers. It's so good. 4 out of 5. See, this is why I wanted to make a video like this, where if I were to be ranking these movies, you know, like what's my top 20 and, you know, is this number 35? I couldn't, because when you have movies like Opus, I give it a 2 out of 5. But I respect what they were trying to do. Yeah, there's been a lot of these sort of like A24 horror movies where this elevated horror is still horror, and it's still trying to scare you or make you feel something, but it can get very repetitive very quickly. And when you see movies like this versus like him, you notice that, like, okay, they're trying to hit, and I keep saying this, but it feels like we're just trying to hit some beats here. And at least with him, I felt it was more avant-garde, where this just felt kind of annoying. And Malkovich was really good when he had to be, but as a pop star, there's that scene where he's singing, he's just not there. When you see like someone like a Lady Gaga, you're like, that lady knows how to run a performance. I don't see that with Malkovich. He's a great actor, and I think everyone did great, and I love Ayo Dibre, but man, it just felt so it didn't get me anywhere. Even like the more horrific moments, I felt like, oh, that was cool, and it lasted like a few seconds. Like the premise, and I think these like horror films where it is such a cool concept, but they don't really know how to land it. Like something like him, where I feel like they didn't land it, but it was a cool I would love to see a horror football movie. I would love to see this sort of like cult music and commentary, and also the ending was pretty thought-provoking, but after all what came before it, I couldn't give it a lot of credit. It's 2 out of 5. Woman in the Yard. Damn it. God damn it. I really wanted to like this movie. I saw the trailer and I thought, cool, great, straightforward. Some women's in the yard. What do you do? There's some talk about grief in this film, and you see this woman going through stuff. It seemed to be handled cool at first, and then it got annoying really fast, and then it had just a terrible ending. I'm sorry. I just could not care for it. The premise, too, I feel like you could have really done a lot with this, because this is a creepy concept, and the woman's performance who's in the yard is just amazing, and then the woman who plays the mother is amazing as well. Like, I felt like you had two really strong forces that could have really done well if the script and editing and I don't know, it just felt like you could have done a lot more with this. So yeah, I gotta give it a 2 out of 5, because it didn't hit. It wasn't. I don't want to go back and watch it. Death of Unicorn. I think of the horror movies, like, I would probably it's crazy that they all sort of came back together for me, because I felt like Opus, Woman in the Yard, and Death of Unicorn are like the horror movies where they have a either really fun premise or really interesting premise, and then they don't know really what to do with it. Because I felt like that's a really fun movie, just a killer unicorn. When you look at movies like Cabin in the Woods, there's a unicorn scene that like steals the show, I feel like. And I think when you see that premise, you think this is going to be a fun romp. And I felt like they didn't really know what to do with it. They had the idea, but they didn't know how to execute it, because it feels like the whole movie they're just sort of trying to figure stuff out. There wasn't enough kills. A lot of the characters I couldn't care for. It's a 2 out of 5. I think amongst the movies I just listed, I don't want to watch any of these again. I didn't have the worst time in the world, but I didn't have a great time. With the movies I just talked about, movies like Hell of a Summer, even though I think are pretty flawed, are so fun. Movies like Death of a Unicorn, Women in the Yard, and Opus had moments where I was like really excited and happy. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that could have been better. Or like I just kept thinking in the back of my mind, like, oh, this is an okay experience. Whereas Hell of a Summer, I'm lost in the experience. I'm having fun. I'm laughing. It's even though it's being goofy and self-aware, I feel like that's not enough for a lot of movies. And the last 3 I listed were trying to be goofy, they were self-aware, but that there needs to be more. And I think Hell of a Summer had that more. It wasn't perfect, but I would rewatch it again. I think Finn Wolfhard and this guy really did amazing. I think the script was really funny. The premise was really interesting. Like, it wasn't the most groundbreaking thing, but it was fun with the concept. And I just love the whole cast. I think everyone in the cast did great. I love the shots. I love the suspense. It's just fun. I wish there was more to the kills. I wish there was more setup and tension. I think some people just started getting killed off sort of randomly. And I can see, I guess, if you look at the premise and you know the ending, maybe that makes sense. But I don't know. It definitely could have felt more like Jason with a sprinkle of like comedy. But all that to say, it's still a 3 out of 5 for me. I think it's a 5 out of 5. I know it sounds crazy that this random thriller is getting such a high praise, being the first 5 out of 5 on my list. The movie was so fun to watch. And I felt like people who give 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s have this perfect movie, as they probably should. But when I measure movies, when I review them, I felt like this is more of the experience. That was the best experience I had. Even though if you rewatch it, which I've rewatched it 3 times, it does not get better on rewatch. Because there's a lot of stuff you're looking for now that you saw that they don't really set up. But as an experience, as the way it was shot and how every character kept killing it, I felt like no one missed a beat. Maybe the kid actor, but I'm trying to be nice here and say, like, I didn't really care, because I really didn't. I think the whole ending was even... It could have been fumbled. It was very close to being fumbled. And it was still fun. I think the whole movie was just fun the entire way. Hey, you know what? The heart wants what the heart wants. I think it's a 5 out of 5. That day I watched the movie was one of my favorite days of the year. Yeah, I can't deny it. It's a 5 out of 5. And it's going to surprise you, this movie Warfare is really fucking good. So if I was ranking movies, I would put Warfare as my number 2 out of the whole year. I would say it is a 5 out of 5 movie. It's perfect. It's haunting. It's... When I walked out of the theater and they played that song, the whole movie is this anxious fear of every angle you can think of. And then for having such an engaging story with everybody killing it, the whole cast is just a star-studded event. Everyone's amazing in it. The premise is so good. And the way they execute it was so good. Like, nobody missed. And like I said, when I walked out of the theater and when I saw those images and when I heard the song that they played, I remember I felt like when you wake up, you know, with a few hours of sleep and you're not fully there, that's what I felt in that movie. It was such a beautiful experience, a haunting experience, a humbling experience, a 5 out of 5. It would be my favorite movie of the year if it wasn't for another. Sinners, baby. Now, it's funny. When I saw Ryan Coogler was making a movie, I was excited. I was like, one of my favorite directors. I love this motherfucker. And then he's making a horror movie with vampires? Oh, give me 50 tickets. I saw Sinners 3 times with multiple different people. I loved it. Loved it every time. Loved it every time. It did miss in some categories. It's funny when I give movies like Drop a 5 out of 5, because I feel like, well, is Drop a better movie than Sinners? No. But the experience I had with Drop was different, and I have to think about that for Sinners, where I think Sinners is a damn near perfect movie, but it being so close, I can't sit there and say it is perfect, because it's not. When I look at the setup, when I think about how everything happens, it's sort of stuff that kind of stick out where it's... I feel like I have a higher grading scale for Ryan Coogler than the person who did Drop. Because when you have instances of like the barn fight, I was really feeling like that should build up a little bit more, and it just sort of fell flat for me. It really suffered from the From Dusk Till Dawn stuff, where like you can see in the background like a few vampires kind of like, okay, when's my turn to jump in? And that takes you out of the movie when you're like, where did these guys come from? in the after the garlic scene, I think you could see someone's shoulder, but then like they have full on kill scenes, and you're like, okay, where did this guy come from? Like there was some little messy stuff that should not take away from the movie, but it felt like it sort of did. Not to say this isn't a damn good movie, but it's up there. Like, it should be respected, and it should be praised, and I think it should get Oscar noms and respect, but it wasn't my perfect movie. And I think even though it emotionally had amazing moments, it also just kind of kept going. Like, I think you could have easily just jumped to him when you see him as an older man, but you know, it did felt like it dragged on a little. And even though those scenes of him as an old man were so powerful, those scenes of him in the church were so powerful, I felt like you could have cleaned it up a little bit more. I felt like a lot of the flashbacks were sort of tedious. It felt like, not to be mean, but it did feel like some Stranger Things moments where they kept showing us flashbacks. They kept kind of spoon feeding us some stuff. It didn't take me away fully, but it did put me out of it a little bit, so I can't give it the 5 out of 5, but I truly enjoy the movie, and I think it's amazing. Ryan Coogler is goddamn good. Thunderbolts. What a great movie. What a great Marvel movie. Yeah, I wish the movie was just it's in that place. I think it was really strong when they were just in the facility. It's a breath of fresh air. Everybody killed it. I love Florence Pugh. She is amazing. Everyone, David Harbour, they all killed it. It was such a fun group of people. I thought it was a great way to set up what is to be the new Avengers. I really can't complain about this movie much, other than the ending. Sort of stereotypical. It's the Marvel movie where they fight and they're in this big city fighting a monster. It's awesome. I love it. Thunderbolts. Clown in the Cornfield. I hate that there were so much movies where I felt like no one really talked about it. Like, I wish this movie got some praise or even some negativity. I don't think it was a perfect horror movie, but it was damn fun. You had a lot of just fun people, fun kills, fun premises. That the premise was just so fun. I don't think it's going to be the horror greats of all time, but it's going to be on my replay when I'm going through October and trying to find some fun movies. I think this movie deserves a lot of its flowers. I love it. I think everyone in the cast killed it. It's a great movie. Cinematography's awesome, and I think the kills are great. I really don't know what else to ask for. It's sad this movie didn't blow up as much as it did, but I think it got enough credit, and I think it might have a cult following when the years pass. So, yeah. Fight or Flight. Man, very disappointing. I was expecting a Bullet Train, and maybe that's where I messed up, but even as a movie by itself, I didn't care. The characters were not there for me. The action scenes weren't as fun. I felt like it was sort of a mess. I felt like it should have jumped onto the plane a lot sooner. It should have been cut down. I just felt like it went on way too long. Whereas Bullet Train, I felt like could have even been expanded on. You know, like you could have had more Bullet Train. I would have enjoyed it. This, I felt like, I don't know. It was fun, but, I can't give it a 1 out of 5 because I still had some good moments, but I think a 2 out of 5. I love Final Destination. That is my favorite franchise. Every movie they drop, I enjoyed it. Even the worst one, when they dropped 4, I was like, I'm still having a gay old time. It's a good horror fest. I think obviously 1 is the better movie. It has a cleaner setup. It has a cast that really take it seriously. It has characters that you are interested in and kills that are so realistic that it feels real. Whereas the movies progress, they do become this, like, look at a tire that hits a satellite, that shoots a laser, that kills a gorilla, that shoots you. Like, that's what the movie became, which is fine. Good movies and series change with time to adapt for what the audience want and for what they feel like the story should go to. But I also feel Final Destination, even though it was this sort of like nostalgia fest and fan service, it still did its own thing and made its own fun and did a lot of wrapping up that I feel like the Final Destination series sort of needed. Where you think of the last one that came, it was amazing, one of my top. It still was sort of this homage where I think Final Destination is an homage and a wrap-up. So I really respect it. 4 out of 5. They do go on very long. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can cut in this film. That being said, it's held up by such fun moments and great action scenes. I was going back and forth with 3 and a 4, but you got to give Tom Cruise his flowers, as it is fun. It could be cut down, but the scenes are so amazing. I could not give it anything lower than a 4. Like, I really respect it, and I was on the edge of my seat. You can't take that away from that movie. Fear Street Prom. When I think of worst movies of the year, this is one of them. This is probably it. I think of Kraven, this movie, and another one we're going to talk about a little bit later, where I just felt like I felt bad for the cast. I felt bad for everybody involved. I felt like they didn't know what to do with the Fear Street IP. We're such a good series on Netflix that they really seemed like they cared and respected. And then this was like, what the fuck was any of that? It didn't make me care. The kills sucked. The story was a mess. I felt like the editing sucked. The cinematography sucked. Nothing in this movie was good. And it sucks because you can tell people really did try. But yeah, I mean, that ending pissed me though. I would say Kraven and this movie are tied for being the worst movie of the year. I fucking can't stand this movie. It really disappointed me. Friendship. Come on, baby. Come on. Tim Robinson? Come on. That's a 4 out of 5. It's so funny, and it's so surreal, and it's so awkward. It's such a unique experience that you don't get in movies and in any media. You really can't capture the oddity of Tim Robinson and his team, and I truly enjoy his work. I think this was such a fun experience. This movie is going to go down as a movie where people look back and say, like, man, we got to give it its flowers. Like, it's a damn good movie. The subway scene, I think that's one of the greatest scenes of all cinema. That's damn near up there for how funny, how thought-provoking, how goofy, how good. Like, just, you gotta give this movie a lot of credit. It was a little messy on its end and where it was going, but you know what, you gotta love it. Bring her back. I think Talk to Me was such a fantastic film. These guys are so talented. This movie was so good. I think the lead up to the ending is what makes me hesitate to give it a 5 out of 5. There was a little bit of the premise that was kind of throwing me off, but ultimately it was good, and I felt like the scenes of them with the rituals were haunting. I felt like the kid with the melon scene, blah, 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 blah. It was so good. It was so good. You gotta just give it so much credit, and I think the ending was so fucking powerful. When you see her looking in the sky, it's damn. They had, these motherfuckers got heart. They got heart. You can't bet against Wes Anderson. You just can't. I give him nothing but respect. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson film, so I know I can't give it a 5 out of 5, but I really enjoyed it, and I felt like he had an opportunity to break away from his style, because there were moments in the film where I felt like this is sort of comedic, keeping to his style, but it's a scene where I felt like if you took away his symmetry and maybe, you know, give him like a shaky cam, which sounds crazy, I know, but something different. Even like the ending, I felt like a little glimpse of it where he kind of took away from his style to show what the world this man lives in now, and I think those are the moments that felt more like, I felt like it was close to being that top Wes Anderson film, but it was still so good. 28 days later is part of my top 5 films of all time. I think it's one of the greatest horror films you could ever watch. I think everything they've done in that film is damn flawless, and I watch it every day, I feel like. So I was excited, and my expectations were high, and I think they were mostly met. When we get through the film, I looked back at it and think, ugh, that ending. First and foremost, it has one of the greatest chase scenes of all time. That scene on the bridge is the greatest scene in horror film cinema history. It's amazing. You look at how it was shot, you look at the tension, you see everything was just perfectly done. It's so chaotic, yet it makes sense. I felt like you had a lot of seriousness, and you had such thought-provoking scenes, like when they're at the Bone Temple and you see that sort of like fire orb. That's beautiful. And then to go to that, I felt like it didn't take itself seriously. But as a movie, I get it. As what Alex Garland was trying to do, I get it. You want to sort of take away from it to set up this next movie. But I felt like as a whole, like if the movie stopped there, if there is no Bone Temple 2 coming out, it sort of misses its landing. Like, I think when you watch it, I'm assuming when you're going to watch it with Bone Temple 2, it's, as an experience, it's going to be, I'm sure, a 5 out of 5 because I trust Alex Garland and that whole team. But I think as a film, it did take me out. And so I give it a 4.5 out of 5. And I don't like to give those. But I'm so close to giving it its credit and flowers. But given that it is part of a sequel, and that's what's keeping me, it's I guess what's throwing me through a loop. Like, I can't give it its full credit until I see that. But if I see that, that takes away from this movie being on its own. 4.5. Elio, it was cute, it was fun. I feel bad for Pixar because I feel like they're trying their best to keep the original IPs, and I really respect and hope they keep doing it because this was a good movie. Was it the best? No, but I enjoyed it, and I think more movies should be created like it. I give Pixar their flowers, and I think they're doing amazing work. For them is they're in this weird spot where they're not making their money, and we're going to get Lilo and Stitch 5, Return of the Electric Boogaloo, and that sucks. 3 out of 5. F1, just a good-ass racing movie. I walked out of it with, like, Mercedes gear. I downloaded Forza just because I loved the damn racing so much. I just really enjoy this movie. It's fun. Yeah, it's not perfect, and some of the characters can be obnoxious, and some of the payoffs don't feel right. Like, I felt like he has his redemption, and then he doesn't, and then he does, and then he's at the club, and it never really feels like they truly felt like a good team-up until, like, the injury stuff happened. I'm going to say 3 out of 5. Black Bag. I heard a lot of praise for Black Bag, and I just didn't get it, man. Like, I felt like it was really good. The dialogue was really fun. Then it started getting just, like, I don't know, not that interesting to me towards, like, the middle. And the end was pretty okay. Like, I felt like a lot of people were more shocked and amazed by the ending than I was, because I always felt like I was missing something. But it was still fun. It was a great spy thriller, but people were praising it, and I felt like, man, I'm missing something. But 3 out of 5. Jurassic World. I don't like the Jurassic World series. I think the first Jurassic World was fun. And then after that, I don't think there's a good movie in there in that whole series. And then this one bounces back, but it's a very low bar. I still give it a good rating, but I think maybe just because the expectation was low, the bar was so low. Like, I did not expect this movie to be fun, and it was. It was really fun. I saw dinosaurs and there was fights and stuff. Like, that's all I feel like if I just walk into the Jurassic World movie and get dinosaurs fighting each other, then great, it did its job. Yeah, that's a 1 out of 5. It sucks because I felt like the movie had a lot of love and care, but I don't like the acting. I did not like Dakota Johnson. I did not like how they were fighting over the money stuff, which is real. It felt real, but the way it was done just felt really obnoxious. Like, I've been there where you fight with your partner about money. It's a painful thing to go through. It's embarrassing, but her with Pedro Pascal had no chemistry, and I guess maybe that's the point, but the way that she breaks up with him was the funniest shit I've ever seen in the theater, and I don't think I should have been laughing, so I had to leave the theater. That just felt like a whole, like, awful experience to be part of. I didn't enjoy it. I felt like it could have been better, and maybe that's why I'm so harsh, because the scene with, like, the intro with the cavemen and cavewomen felt beautiful, and I felt like the ending had potential to be beautiful, but I just think every character was annoying. The stakes were weird, especially with the whole, like, attack scene with that woman, with her client. I was more uncomfortable than I was, like, in suspense or attachment to these people. So yeah, I gotta give it a 1 out of 5, man. Another movie I didn't see get enough praise was Until Dawn. That's a 4 out of 5 for me. I thought it was so fun. It really tried to stay true to the story of the game, but being its own thing, and leading up to the story of the game too. I just really liked it, and I'm surprised how much people did not. I didn't think any character was that bad. I don't think any character was sort of annoying, or any kill was annoying, or the premise was. I thought it was just all around great. I loved it. 4 out of 5. I guess there's no better time to say it. Superman is my #1 movie of the year. If I had to rank them traditionally, it's a 5 out of 5. I think it's a beautiful film. I think it made me feel something that I didn't feel with a lot of movies. I felt like I walked out of the movie wanting to be a better person. I know that's crazy, but it's just the truth. Watching the punk rocker scene at the end and being so moved by the human spirit, by the strength of being positive, how it is not typical to be positive. It's so easy to be just this contrarian or just angry, or, you know, I feel like when is being a nice person, you know, credited for any good, right? Like, no good deed goes unpunished. I feel like we've been ingrained to be hesitant of our positivity, of our good will that we have for this world. So yeah, I loved it so much. I thought this was the best movie of the year for me. So I'm gonna give it a 2 because I feel like they had some redeeming parts. They were pretty good with some of the kills and trying to keep you in with the characters, but it just felt like the newest Texas Chainsaw, where they try to bring back a character, or they try to make these callbacks to nostalgia bait you. House of Eden, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5, mainly because it didn't do anything new, and it wasn't so egregious, but it also kind of was very, let's just do this because other movies do it. That's what it felt like, which sucks because I give a lot of credit to the creator for making something out of nothing, and being relatively successful with it is so hard. So I think my heart wants to give them credit for making something, but the movie itself really is not that exciting. It doesn't have a lot of good moments, and it goes on way too long, and yeah, I do not like it. Fantastic Four, I would give it a 3. I would even go higher. I kind of want to go 4, but it also didn't do anything that exciting, and I think it did have a lot of cool, great characters, but again, I think it just didn't have enough for me to be that excited about. The fight scenes weren't that amazing, but you know what's funny is I feel like the Marvel stuff, I usually focus on, okay, when's the next crescendo, when's the next big event, when's the next yada yada. No, I felt like with Fantastic Four, I was more excited about hearing more from the characters. So it makes me excited to see what happens and how they end up with the new Marvel movies. 3 out of 5. Bad Guys 2. I would give it a higher rating, but I just fell in love with the first one so much. They're just such great movies with so much care, great animation. This one felt very much like a sequel, like it had to be a lot of repeats, but it did it so fun, and I don't know, I think it's a damn good movie. Not perfect, and it's still something I really praise highly, but 4 out of 5. The Naked Gun movie, 2025. Oh, that's good. It's a good-ass movie. It's just so good. It's funny. It doesn't really drag on too long. Like, I think it does its purpose, and I'm really excited that movies are making this comedic comeback, because I felt like you would really only get this on streaming, and now you're getting it in theaters. I don't know. It felt like a really good return to form for comedic movies. I feel like I haven't really seen like a really funny movie in a minute where like maybe it was this and then one of them days. So yeah, I just felt like 2025 was this year of fun, 4 out of 5. Conflicted. Very conflicted. Because it's a great movie. I feel like people hated on it too much, where they're like, it's not enough, or it's too boring. I heard very mixed, even though I think relatively speaking, it's got a really good, I think it's got a really good score. I think for me personally, I heard a lot of mixed messages and people, I don't think they're giving enough praise. I think it deserves more praise. I think the effects were amazing. The characters could be better, but they were still, intriguing enough. And I think the cult stuff is sort of played out, but in this movie I feel like it wasn't that big of a center focus, and I'm okay with them using that as the excuse because it seemed pretty seamless. It seemed like that's just the world they live in, hence why the guy, when he saw the dog in the very beginning, maybe because they're just used to it, like I feel like there's some explanation you can take from it. And it wasn't like they were necessarily evil either. Like, it's pretty new in that sense, but I don't know. I just think it's a great movie with great effects and such a crazy premise. It gives me the same vibes I got from Substance last year, and I really respect that movie, and I respect this one. I think The Substance being a better film, but this is still such a good one, and God, Alison Brie can act her ass off, which you can see in this movie. Great movie. 4 out of 5. Weapons. I want to give it more because it was a movie I was excited about. I love Zach Cregger. I grew up on Whitest Kids You Know, and I loved Barbarian, and I knew he had something in him. I was like, this is going to be a guy you should be excited for. And seeing Weapons, it was everything I wanted. But there was a part of me that felt something was missing. And the scene with the AR-15, I think a lot of people were interpreting that in very fun, positive, and negative ways, and I felt like that was such a cool discussion, but it took me out of the film. And I thought about that, where I just kept thinking the whole movie's damn good, damn near perfect for me, and something kept hitting me. There was always a scene or two where I'm like, well, this wasn't even though it's a damn good movie, and even though I really respect it and love it so much, it is up there for me. It's a scene where like the principal is chasing. That's really intense, really cool. But then the momentum kind of stopped when he cut. And I feel like in other movies it would be like, well, now the whole time we're thinking about that, and it should be sort of like build tension. But it kind of took you out of it. I always look at the Gladys scene when she's with the principal and the partner is just like, I don't know, it just doesn't flow right to me. But that's very like that's me being as nitpicky as possible. It's still an amazing movie. It's a 4 out of 5. I love Zach Cregger. I can't wait for his next film. Resident Evil is going to be so good. I trust him. I trust him with my life. Yeah, that's a 1. I'm sorry. It didn't have any redeeming qualities. I respect that they tried, but every time I kept seeing clips from the original and I looked at this film, I went, man, what a night and day difference. Like, the shots look better. The characters acted a lot funnier, and they were so fun to see and watch and have so much quotes. And this movie just did not have any of it. And I guess maybe I would have been nicer. Maybe I would have done a 2 out of 5. But since it had that bug in my head where I just kept seeing the first film and wanting to see the first film, I can't. This movie didn't necessarily come out this year, but I saw it in theaters for the first time. Only ever seen it on my computer. So seeing it in person was an experience. Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is one of my favorite movies of all time. But it's funny that this movie, I saw it and I thought it was amazing. It did drag on a little bit longer than I remembered it. And I do think that the ending is so horrifying and the character and buildup is all amazing. But it did have those like missteps, which I think if you were to talk to me back when it first came out, I would have said a 5 out of 5. But now I'm at a 4, maybe 4.5. But it's still amazing. It's still a fantastic film. I think it's still one of my favorite Godzillas. But now I kind of see why -1 got a lot of more respect, I think, for many people. Because, damn, it really was a better pace, a better character movie. Whereas Shin is still amazing, but I think it's more about the nuclear aspect of a creature rather than the people that were affected by the nuclear aspect of the world. I don't know. Nobody 2. Yeah, I really loved the Nobody 1 movie, and this one just was not it. I didn't care for any of the characters. They felt like just a character rather than they felt like a real person in the first one. And the first one I feel like told everything you needed to really tell. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 because there's still some fun fight scenes. Honey Don't. It's an interesting film because I really enjoyed it, but the more I kept sitting on it, the less I really liked it. And I thought the first half was amazing, but then when you start meeting Aubrey Plaza's character and you get towards the end, I just felt like it kind of got messy really fast. And I don't know, it was good could be better. And I think I had high expectations given the directors, but I don't know. I just wanted more. It's still a 3 out of 5 for me. I would recommend it. Conjuring. I want to give it a 1, but I watched it with friends. They truly enjoyed it, and I think that experience really brought it up. And there were still some fun scares, but it really is the weaker of the films, and that ending was so annoying. Like, I don't really like when they go so grandiose with the endings of the other Conjurings and Insidious movies, where it's like a big spectacle, when in reality, like, the family just left, I think, in real life. I would have really just liked it if they toned it down. I think that more grounded moments really make the Conjuring films, but you also do have to kind of run wild with the IP, and I think it worked because the movie is one of the highest movies in the series, I believe. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a success for them. Why not go grandiose? It's just not for me. I love horror, and I'll still go see these movies if they look enticing, because I think I skipped one of them because I was like, I can't do another one. This one, I don't know. It was still fun. I still had a good time, but it's definitely lower level for me, and I would not recommend it. But hey, if you see it one day, it's not like it's the end of the world. 2 out of 5. The Long Walk. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I never read the novel, even though Stephen King is one of my favorite authors, and I've read a lot of his books. I really enjoyed the film, and I want to watch it again. And the characters I really enjoyed and got attached to. There was a little hiccups. I think some of the characters died in weaker ways, and I felt like they were trying to be more of a spectacle for when they'd passed, and it just wasn't there for me. But the ending was so beautiful, and that whole lead up to that final section was... Yeah, no, it's just a good movie. 4 out of 5. It's a good movie, for fun, and I love that it's so avant-garde. There's a lot of like surreal in the movie, and I really respect when a horror movie says fuck it, we're gonna get surreal with it. Here, I felt like they didn't go far enough, and I think that's what held it back. It being so surreal took away from it because it wasn't surreal enough for me, and the characters were kind of I think Marlon Wayans was fantastic as he always is, but it is sort of I respect it. That's why I don't want to give it a 1, but it just, as a product, as it delivered, how it landed, just was not that good. 2 out of 5. One battle after another. I think if I were to rank the movies, you would see Superman at 1, Warfare at 2, and I believe One Battle at 3. I think it's one of the best movies of all time. It's going to age so well. It's going to be a movie that I think people refer to and love and care about. I think it's so politically aware of what's going on. It's disgusting to watch. It's such a hard watch. It's so damn real. It's like, I didn't really want to watch it because I'm like, do I want to see a movie where I'm seeing real life right now? And I think it's a sobering movie that reflects the world we're living in, and every character kills it. Leo deserves so much credit. I think he deserves an Oscar for his role. I think he really did kind of take it by far. It's so damn good. I just think back to some of the scenes of when soldiers are in the airplanes, to the soldiers scanning the areas. It's so real. The riots feel real. Like, everything feels real, or something that I've seen just outside my door, which is unfortunate. But yeah, no, 5 out of 5. Good Boy. I loved it. I thought it was a great film. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. I think there was a lot of stuff where I'm like, this is dragging on, or this is a little messy in the editing, or I don't really know what's going on here, and I feel like it's not my fault. I feel like it is the fault of the film. And even trying to think about it and sit on it, I was like, yeah, that was okay. It still did well in so many other aspects, and I just thought it was fantastic how they really used the dog's face in context, where to me, I'm like, oh my god, that dog's acting. And I'm like, oh, it got me. They got me with the oldest film trick in the world, where the dog was just, juxtaposed to scenes of something that is startling, but the dog didn't care. And just to invoke why film exists is what made me really respect it, especially how animals suck to work with. I just can't give them nothing but credit. It's a fantastic movie. I really recommend it. 4 out of 5. Bone Lake. Jesus Christ. I didn't like it, and people were praising it, and I just thought Bone Lake was not good, and I felt like the characters were awful, and the twist was awful, and the fights were awful, everything was awful, but it was still like, I respect that they tried stuff, and I respect that the intro was so thought-provoking and shot well, and then every other scene didn't feel that. It just, I don't know, it fell flat. It wasn't bad because they didn't care, it was just not a good step. 2 out of 5. The Smashing Machine. I loved it. I thought it was everything I wanted to see, with a story about early days of mixed martial arts. And so it was interesting to see. It was such a cool spectacle, but it definitely didn't really know where it was going, it felt like. And I think purposefully, but for me as a viewer, when I walked away, I thought, oh, like, that's how you're going to end it. Like, I really wanted more, and I felt like you're telling this guy's story, but you're not really. And I know there's the critique of why Mark Kerr, but I think it was a perfect person to pick. I hope there's more movies about other fighters, but he's pretty good as a person to show you the reality of the world they live in. Granted, I felt like it was a little... They nerfed, I feel like, a lot of the topics of drug abuse and steroids and possible corruption. That's where I think a lot of people would have been really attracted to the story and maybe given it more praise. If you really didn't feel like you're putting kitty gloves on, because I don't think Mark Kerr necessarily said no to any of this, but I felt like it was Dwayne The Rock who was like, I'm not going to talk about the drug abuse because that man is not natty. But I think it sort of left a weird, like, we didn't really go far enough to tell the story. I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea for a lot of moments, but it was still good, and you can tell how much love and care, and some scenes were so beautiful. When he loses his fight, it's such a powerful scene, how Emily Blunt carries the film. You just got to give it its flowers. 3 out of 5. I ended up really rooting for the guy. You hear these movies that are based on real people, you go in there with a little bit of like, did this really happen? And hearing how much of it was pretty close to real and how much they had people involved, it felt like they really took care of the movie and its story and its legacy. And yeah, I don't know. I kept thinking about the movie and I kept feeling so hurt and loved by the characters. Yeah, when they show the real clips, I remember just having goosebumps of just like, wow, this is like a movie where they really cared about the guy. And I'm not saying you have to care about, like, if you're making something about Jeffrey Dahmer, but you sort of do. You have to care about the person you're telling the story about in some capacity. You really want to, you don't want to just walk into the Jeffrey Dahmer story and say he's Jeffrey Dahmer, boo. You want to have a nuanced story. And that's also, you don't want to just humanize them. It's a hard road, but his story is so unique. It's kind of hard not to think about him as someone that you feel bad for. And a lot of his choices of his own were awful, and maybe they pushed him there because he just couldn't fit. I don't know, it was so thought-provoking to me, and it made me really humanize a lot of these, these intelligent people who just can't fit into society. And he didn't sound like he was hurting people, so I think that's what makes me sympathize with him. He is this sort of anti-hero, I think, that anybody and everybody usually roots for in movies. So yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I think, again, if I were to rank my stuff, it's Superman, and then Warfare, then One Battle, and then probably Roofman, and then drop behind it. 5 out of 5. I felt like it was going into really cool territory, and it had a lot of its really cool stuff. Like, when she started floating in the real world, like that, okay, there's some Freddy stuff going on, but then it just kind of went too goofy with him on the ice, and I don't know. It felt like I was like, why did this story need to be told? I didn't really enjoy it, and I was really excited, but holy green screen, it was really bad with some scenes. And I think The Black Phone 1 is such a great film. This is not a good follow-up, and I just think let's just leave it here. Let's just watch Black Phone 1 and have a good time. I think Shelby Oaks is a fantastic film, and I think people hated on it. And it was weird. I see why. Because you see a story that could have been told. I wish the whole movie was honestly told from the perspective of her watching these tapes. Because that was when I was like, whoa, riveting. And then when she gets to the house at the end, the prison scene was, like, all these scenes were still fun, but they weren't as good as how it started. That was my complaint. But what I heard from people was that they just didn't like any of it. And I just can't wrap my head around it. When I saw people saying, like, you can't criticize them for being a YouTuber, I thought, well, that's stupid, but that's just internet people. People will always say that they don't mess with it, and you shouldn't do it, or you should, and da-da-da. Like, there's all these fights going on with the comments I saw and how people were reacting online, when ultimately it was just a good movie that Chris Stuckman did fantastic with, and you can tell he really cared about it, and it was such a cool premise. I think he landed in the first half. The second half was, yeah, the typical horror movie, and yes, I wish it was still more. I still think even if the second half was terrible, which it was not, it would still be carried by the first half, and I would recommend it to people. 4 out of 5. And I feel like Yorgos is my favorite director. Like, I think the more and more he's making films, the more I just can't stop loving everything he does. And this is another one. Intriguing the whole movie. You're terrified of what's happening, of what's to come. No one misses any beat. The story is so complex. I felt like any other movie would make Jesse Plemons' character so evil. But he is that, and more. And sympathetic, and it sort of tells these crazy conspiracy people you can be right if at the end justifies the means, right? But at the same time, like, he wasn't necessarily right. He got the humans killed. I think it's funny, when I was talking about the earlier films, I thought I had it pretty set in my mind, but then I forgot about Bugonia. It makes me want to flip my list. I definitely want to give Superman 1 and Warfare 2. Those are a lock for me. But then when I think about One Battle, I'm kind of edging between this and Bugonia. Edging. But I think also, too, Bugonia had this ending that just haunted me and terrified me. And I'm stuck between One Battle and Bugonia so much. It's hard. It's hard to pick those two and decide which one is better, because I think they're gridlock for me, tied, 5 out of 5. Predator Badlands. Damn, that's a good movie. It's just a good movie. Good action fest. 4 out of 5 for me. I feel like the characters are great. Yeah, there's a lot of I've seen it before. It's nothing that crazy, but it was still fun. And it still did great. It was so fun and so great that I really enjoyed it. Even though I felt like him meeting the robot was sort of messy, and then sort of like the breakup scene where they're like, I can't believe you, I'm leaving, and then they come back. Yeah, that was okay. But it still was so fun. I can't take anything from how great the action scenes and how great the characters were when you really got to love them and understand them more. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. It did drag on, and I felt like there was a lot of scenes where it would have just been better if it was just this sort of like, this guy has to survive for 42 hours, something like that. Like something, rather than just this big grandiose, it's about society. Like, yeah, we hammered that home in the beginning. You probably could have even skipped that and just made it about the guy trying to win the competition. It was messy, very messy. Had some fun moments. I'm stuck between 2 and 3. I want to say 3 just because I think the action scenes were that much worth it to go see, but maybe you can cut it off halfway. I don't know. Not my favorite film. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very terrifying film. Part of me wants to give it a 4, but I felt like what was holding it back is the sort of reveal. And which is crazy, because I think it bounces back again when her character is seeing a face, right? But then, I don't know, when that face starts chasing and there's a fall in the water, I feel like it got messy again, and not in a bad way, but in a way where I feel more comfortable giving it a 3 out of 5. Flight Risk. I did not like it. I want to give it a lower score, but I really do think they did try, so I'm trying to give them that credit. It did have its good moments, somewhat. It had a good moment. But it was hard to watch. It was unbearable. I didn't finish it, and yeah, maybe I should give it even a lower score, but I just thought, there was some okay scene. So yeah, 2 out of 5. Wicked 2. I liked it better than the first one, but I did not like Wicked. I don't like Wicked. 5 out of 5. It's a comedy. Go see it. It's amazing. I love it. Just fun. Just a good movie. Everyone's great. I love Rian Johnson. I love what he's doing with these films. I kind of just expect them every few years now, and I get excited when he makes new ones, and I think he kills it. One will always be the top, and the other two sort of fight for relevancy, but they're still so great. So 4 out of 5. I would honestly give it a 2 because it's kind of messy and a lot of the characters really annoy you, and the editing is not that great. But there is some funny moments. There's some really good moments that I think I have to give it a 3. Not my strongest 3, but it is still fun. I gave Marty Supreme a 5 out of 5. What is wrong with me? I can't stop giving 5s, man. I just be throwing them out there. I really enjoyed Marty Supreme. I think lesser than Begonia. I definitely think lesser than most of my other 5s. But I still enjoyed it so much. I thought it was so damn good. I thought it was beautiful. It's definitely better than Drop. It's definitely better than most movies out there. It's a fantastic film done so well, and the characters are so interesting, and the plot just had you so interested. I have to give Chalamet his flowers. I love the Safdie brothers and what they're both doing, and so I can't wait to rewatch it. I can't wait to watch it again. I've seen One Battle After Another multiple times now, and I've enjoyed it more and more, and I have a feeling this is going to be a film where I just keep falling in love with it. I love the characters. I love how he fails up. I love that the world that they have, where they brought us really back into this time. And I didn't even know this dude was a real dude, but he's a real dude, and just seeing his story is just insane. Ugh, great story. Great story. 5 out of 5.